Her elemental skill invites the 3 members of the Salon Solitaire. Their damage increases the more characters there are in the party over a certain HP amount.
Nice.
Furina's elemental burst deals damage to surrounding opponents. And when the party member's HP increases or decreases, Furina will accumulate fanfare points. That's my trumpet. Amazing.
So the 4.2 live stream just finished, and Whoever's revealed Furina is an off-field DPS and support that drains your team's HP. And I hate to say it, but this really does change everything. And you should be very excited if you play a lot of different characters. So draining your team's HP is such a huge mechanic, and there's so many different ways I can look into this. I'll probably be making a bunch of videos, but I'm not even going to think about teams right now. I'm just going to focus on gear changes and my initial thoughts on how they will affect the roster. So basically, there's so many characters who don't have signature artifact sets at the moment, and even some characters who are just using random mix sets. And on the other hand, there's characters like Fischl or Ayaka who have some insane signature sets, and you get a ton of damage and value from farming them. And this artifact set they introduced recently, the Hunter set, this is basically equivalent to some of the strongest signature artifact sets in the game. You get so much crit rate from this 4-piece bonus, and even without factoring in this normal and charge attack damage, this crit rate here is insane. The issue with this set is at least until now, only a few characters can utilize this. Even with a character like Hu Tao, who already has pretty good artifact sets like Shimenawa's or Crimson Witch. If you remember, I calculated in a video a while ago, if she could get good uptime with this, even that is a pretty big upgrade of what she already has. So just imagine how big of an upgrade this set is for characters who don't even have a good set. And even more recently, there's been some weapons like Neuvillette's signature weapon or wriothesley's signature weapon. These passives are very strong, but they also did require you to increase and decrease your HP. So some catalyst users who couldn't really use these to their full potential before should now be able to use them well. But obviously, since this is 5-star weapons, it isn't as big of a deal as the artifacts, but it's still useful to know, especially as we know the general power level of 5-star catalyst weapons is very low unless you're talking about a signature weapon for a particular character, like yoimiya's signature weapon. And in fact, I did some quick calcs with klee, and these weapons might actually be the first 5 stars which are able to outperform the widsith, which is pretty crazy. As for other stuff, I'm 90% sure that artifact sets like Voracash's Glow and Dia's signature weapon, since these specifically say after your character takes damage, and again after your character takes damage, I'm pretty sure these work differently than the Fontaine gear, which specifies increases or decreases. So I don't think this gear will actually come into play here, which is actually quite unfortunate, since it would have been a nice buff for some Claymore characters to get an extra 20% attack from this weapon. That might have been interesting for them. So on to the main part of the video. So I'm going to go through as much characters as I can. And yeah, as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, I'm not going to look at the team aspect for now. I'm just going to be focusing on gear. It's very possible when we come to look at teams that even with this improved gear, a character isn't actually able to make a stronger team with Furina than their current teams. But let's just focus on personal buffs for now. And yeah, like I said, I'll look into teams in upcoming videos, since that can get much more complicated. But for now, I will have this unsure section where I can also put characters if it's quite obvious that even if they do have a new set, that they might have team issues. For example, it's unlikely Child will actually get a stronger team than International. So I organise this by weapons, and the first few characters I put at the front, just because I'm pretty sure these 4 characters, Klee, Yanfei, Ningguang and Heizou, are getting not just artifact buffs, but big artifact buffs, and they're also getting new 5-star weapons. So I already looked into Klee a bit, and as we know, Klee doesn't have a signature artifact set, and not only that, either Lava Walker or more likely a mix set with attack and Crimson Witch. And the thing with her is that she already has too much attack and pyro damage already, and she also ascends with pyro damage. And that's why even Lava Walker is only about 1 or 2% stronger than a mixed set at the moment. So it's not very great. So this crit rate is very strong. And then on top of that, just like with these other catalyst users, they benefit from the 2-piece with normal and charge attack bonus. So let's put them all in here. And I actually did some quick calcs. And if you can get perfect uptime on the new artifact set, which I don't know exactly how realistic that is, but I calculated the new set could even be a 17 or 18% increase over her current options, which is quite ridiculous. If you know, that's pretty much the same damage buff Fischl got from the new elemental skill set. Same thing for yanfei, ningguang and heizou. I don't think their current artifact sets are great for them either. They should also be benefiting from these 5-star weapons too. Then there's Wanderer. Now he does have a signature weapon and a signature artifact set, and they're pretty good, but they aren't amazing, and I wouldn't be surprised if he actually is able to upgrade both his artifact set and his weapon. So actually I'm going to change this into solid boss. It can be both a weapon or an artifact set, but I'm going to put him here instead. And you see the calcs, it might only be a small upgrade, but if he can play Furina in teams, having more gear options available for him is always a good thing. Now Miko, she also has a signature weapon, Kagura's, and she does have pretty good artifact sets, but I don't think artifact sets are amazing. The only issue is, even though I'm trying not to focus on teams, I don't know if you're really going to be taking her out of Quicken teams and putting her in Hyper Bloom teams. But actually, maybe she will work in like Electro Charge or like Hyper Carry teams with Furina. I think I'll have to put her in Unsure for now. Lisa should be in the same situation as Miko. Lisa, I know some people play her in a Hyper Bloom EM build, but I think she can fit in a similar situation to Miko. And then wriothesley and neuvillette, obviously these characters already can decrease and increase the HP, so they already benefit from the new artifacts and weapons, so there should be no changes. Although I'm sure they were designed to work well with Furina in teams, but we can cover that in a later video. Now Kokomi, I'm also sure that she'll fit into good teams with Furina, but gear wise, she obviously doesn't crit, so she won't benefit from new artifacts or the new 5-star weapons, so I'm pretty sure no change is a no-brainer here. Same thing for Baiju and Barbara. You don't really build them for damage, they're healers. Sucrose, EM support, I doubt she's going to get any changes. Mona, to be honest, Furina sounds a lot like Mona, but she does off-field damage. So Mona being Hydro support, unless you're playing her as a damage dealer, probably no change again. Nahida, I'm sure she is going to have lots of different teams with Furina, but no change again. So that's the catalyst users. Now onto the sword users. For Albedo, he already has 2 strong artifact sets now, and the hunter set only works when you're on field. That means Albedo, I doubt he's going to get any changes there. Same for Traveler, whatever Traveler this is, if this is Geo or Dendro or Animo, shouldn't have any changes there. Now Ayaka, Blizzard's Rare is kind of already the freeze version of the hunter set, so she already has a very strong set. Now obviously Furina being an off-field Hydro, I'm looking forward to testing her with Ayaka, see if she gets some new freeze teams. So that would be exciting, but I doubt you want to swap off Blizzard's Trail, especially because you can farm it in the Artifact Strongbox now. Maybe there is a chance you use Ayaka with Furina in bossing situations. Maybe Furina replaces Bennett in Monocryo teams, who knows. But I'm just going to put her in no changes for now. Alhaitham, this is quite interesting actually. He already has a very good artifact set. I think usually people use Gilded Dreams or a mixed set. But to be honest, he does do a lot of normal and charge attacks, and he will benefit from the crit. And I'm sure he can play in Hyper Bloom or Nido Bloom teams with Furina. So obviously I haven't calculated this, but I'm debating whether he goes in solid buffs or unsure. I'm putting him in unsure for now, but I wouldn't be surprised if he actually does get solid buffs. Kazuha, no changes. Chi-Chi, unless you're playing as a DPS, no changes. Lynette, no changes. Kirara, no changes. Bennett support, no changes. Kaya, I think he's similar to Ayaka, no changes. Kershin, I think, is in a similar situation to Miko, but even more restricted. I highly doubt you're taking Kershin out of aggregate teams, even though Thundering Fury isn't the most amazing artifact set for her. But I'm going to put her in no changes because I think Miko has a higher chance of being played in Electro Charge teams. Layla Shielder, no changes. Now Xingqiu, he actually doesn't have an amazing artifact set, and I'm sure he will be played in a lot of different Furina teams, especially if you don't have Yelan. Because you need to be on field to benefit from the hunter set, he probably has no changes. Shinobu off-field healer, and she's built for EM, so no changes there. Nilou, maybe in a high constellation vape team she might have a use, even though I'm also excited to try out some Nilou Bloom teams with Furina. Jean, I actually think she'll have a lot of different teams with Furina, with Jean's huge heals on her burst. But gear-wise, I doubt she has any changes. Now Ayato, he actually does have a signature artifact set, which is supposed to be echoes of an offering, but even then I don't think it worked out that well for him. I know a lot of people use Gladiator's Finale sets or Heart of Depth sets, and they're pretty similar to that, so he probably actually does benefit from Furina a lot. And I could also see some cool mono hydro teams being played. Just going to put some more supports in here. Lyney, a new character, he already uses the hunter set, so his gear won't change. Maybe he has some synergy with Furina, letting her forward vape, but probably not. Official already has a perfect artifact set for her. Tinari, similar situation to Yoimiya and Keqing. I highly doubt he's taken away from Quicken teams. And his artifact set, Gilded Dreams, is also pretty good for him. Yoimiya, I think, is actually in a similar situation to Ayato. She does have a signature set, which is Shimenawa's, and it is pretty strong, but especially because she can benefit from this 2-piece bonus. I haven't done calcs myself, but I wouldn't be surprised if the new artifact set is an upgrade for her. And her being a vaporized DPS, I'm sure she is going to have teams with Furina. Now Yelan, most people use her as an off-field DPS, so she should be in no changes, but I will say that if you do play her on field, she doesn't have an amazing artifact set. People usually just use mix sets for her. I'm tempted to put her in unsure, just because I can tell that she would have good synergy with Furina. Maybe Furina replaces Xingqiu in double hydro teams and you end up playing Yelan on field. Maybe those on field teams get a lot more popular. So I'm going to put her in unsure for now. Now Child recently got another signature artifact set. Now this is actually a decent upgrade, but that's theoretically, this isn't actually as good as you think it is. Basically all the speedrunners I know, they aren't actually upgrading to this set. So another character who does use normal and charge attack, I'm sure he actually probably does get an upgrade to his artifact sets. However, even though this guide isn't focused on teams, I still do want to put him in no changes, just because I highly doubt he's going to get a better team than International. Gan Yu, she already has good artifact sets with both melt and freeze, so I'm going to put her in no changes. I'm going to put some more supports in no changes too. There's a lot of support polearms in this game. Hu Tao, we already looked into it a little. She does get a buff with the new hunter set. This is about 9-10% with perfect uptime, but that might be optimistic. It's probably a bit less than this, but that's still stronger than our current sets. So I already know this is a solid buff. With Furina revolving around increasing and decreasing your party's HP, that synergizes well with Hu Tao. But I will say for now, even though I'm pretty sure Furina will be an upgrade for Hu Tao in double hydro teams, I'm actually not sure if Furina Hu Tao teams are still going to be stronger than VV Vape teams. It's not easy to replace Kazuha and Bennett, at least for hardcore players. But I'll get into that in another video. Cyno, I'm pretty sure he uses 2 different artifact sets. You can either use Gilded Dreams or Thundering Fury if you want. But I wouldn't be surprised if he does get a new artifact set. I'm actually going to make a new column here, just because there are a few characters who I haven't calced and I don't play. So I'm just going to move Cyno there for now, just because I'm not as confident with him as with these other 4 characters. Raiden, I'm pretty sure she's not going to get a change in gear. Emblem is too good for her, although I wouldn't be surprised if she actually is in Furina teams. Xiao already decreases his own HP, so he's already been able to use the hunter set. So I'm going to put him in no changes alongside wriothesley and neuvillette. Xiangling already has a good artifact set, no changes. Beidou, I don't think she'll get any changes either. She also snapshots her burst very early. But you know what, I'm going to put her in unsure just in case you can snapshot the crit, in which case that'll probably be better than our current artifact sets. Yeah, someone will have to calc and let me know if Cyno does get an artifact set buff. Actually, I'm just going to put him in there. Chongyun, this is tricky. I know he doesn't have an amazing artifact set right now, Gonna put him in unsure. Diluc, this is difficult. I think he might be in a similar situation to yoimiya and Hu Tao. Even though Crimson Witch is his signature artifact set, it's not amazing on him. But he also doesn't do as much normal attacks as those two. I'll put him in unsure for now, even though I'm sure he'll be in some Furina teams. Noelle does use a lot of normal attacks, so I haven't done any calcs, but I'm pretty sure she'll be in solid buffs, especially because she is a healer as well. Maybe there's some synergy with Furina there. Razor is used as either aggravate DPS or EM Dendro team DPS, so probably no changes. Eula, she does have a signature set, Pale Flame, but it's not amazing on her. I think she might be similar to Klee in that she already has a lot of attack and a lot of damage percent. In that case, I'm pretty sure crit is very good on Eula, and I wouldn't be surprised if the new set is an upgrade on her. I also wouldn't be surprised if she has good synergy with Furina. Furina buffs all damage, so it's a good source for physical damage buffs. Maybe there could be some teams which have both Superconduct and Freeze and Shatter. That'd be quite interesting to test. Xinyan doesn't really have a great artifact set either, and she does use a lot of charge attacks. I'll probably put her in unsure, but I wouldn't be surprised if she is actually getting solid buffs. There's some more healers here. I'm sure all these healers will be very useful for Furina teams, but personal damage wise, no changes. Now Itto has a signature set, the Husk set, but because he does benefit from the 2-piece bonus, normal and charge attack damage, I wouldn't be surprised if his signature set is actually worse than the new set. Geo teams also don't have a lot of teammates, so I wouldn't be surprised if Furina becomes a new option in those Geo teams too. Dia does have a signature set, Vorokasha's Glow, but it's not a great signature set for her. And like I said, I'm pretty sure she needs to take damage to activate this set. But maybe she can use the Hunter set instead of Vorokasha's Glow. I actually believe her in unsure for now. Kove, no changes. And then Feminine, I haven't really played him much. I don't think there's any changes with him either. And that's the end. I feel like that was actually less characters than I thought it was. A couple of these characters in unsure, I feel like they are getting buffed, but I haven't got any calcs to be confident about it. But yeah, to say it again, this is just looking at gear changes. There's probably a lot of characters here in no changes who actually do have good team synergy with Furina, but I'll cover some teams later on. I hope you found this video interesting. Please let me know in the comments if you had some idea that I overlooked, especially if you main one of these characters and maybe you've already calculated that they actually do get an artifact set. I'll be very interested in hearing that. And also let me know which characters you main and if you've already thought of some exciting teams to test Furina with them. Anyway, look forward to my upcoming videos about Furina, and thanks for watching.
You'd expect for a Hydro Archon that she'd have the best drip.
Oh?